Welcome to the Argus IQ Daily Thread Brief for August 3rd, 2026. Today we examine a disruptive malware incident affecting 10 Uttarakhand government websites, urgent vulnerabilities spanning Java, browsers, routers, security tools, mobile modems, and network appliances, and the accelerating role of artificial intelligence in both cyber attacks and defense. The immediate priority is containment and patching. The strategic priority is building security operations that can match an adversary able to automate discovery, exploitation, and influence at machine speed. Now let's turn to today's threat landscape. Iris, walk us through what you're seeing.
Unattributed malware disrupted 10 Uttarakhand government department websites on August 2nd, causing several hours of service outage. No data loss or exfiltration has been reported, but the multi site impact points beyond isolated departmental failures. Investigators should examine shared hosting, common content management systems, administrative credentials, deployment pipelines, and third party infrastructure for a single point of compromise. Preserve web, host, firewall, identity, backup, and deployment logs before restoration, and hunt for web shells persistence, unauthorized accounts, and altered content. Rotate privileged credentials and application keys only after evidence is secured. The wider threat environment is scaling through malware as a service, remote access Trojans, botnets, malvertising, browser delivery, and supply chain compromise. These services lower the technical barrier for criminal and state linked operators while expanding exposure through vendors and managed providers. Kernel and driver abuse remain especially dangerous because signed vulnerable drivers can weaken endpoint controls and enable privileged activity. Automated detection now covers more than 800 vulnerable drivers and ARM architectures, making continuous driver intelligence, allow listing, and kernel telemetry essential.
Solid breakdown, Iris. Lux, let's zoom out. What's the strategic picture?
Artificial intelligence is compressing the full cyber lifecycle. Attackers can automate reconnaissance, vulnerability research, phishing, malware adaptation, and influence operations. Defenders are applying agents to code analysis, vulnerability triage, patch prioritization, detection engineering, and threat hunting. The advantage will go to organizations with reliable telemetry, fast decisions, and firm human oversight. Establish approval gates, audit logs, model risk controls, and adversarial testing before autonomous security agents receive production authority. Measure time to detect and time to fix as resilience metrics, not compliance exercises. Build continuous hunting across identity systems, cloud control planes, browsers, endpoint kernels, and third party access. Strengthen supply chain assurance with software inventories, signed build verification, vendor access governance, and rapid isolation procedures. Japan's phased threat hunting framework offers a practical model. Establish telemetry and hardening first, then expand into proactive operations and sector coordination.
Thanks, Lux. Helix, what are the social telemetry and trends telling us?
Cyber risk is increasingly shaped by narratives that originate outside conventional security channels. Entertainment, sports, and cultural topics dominate public attention, yet signals involving Iran, Russia, China related disputes, Islamist radicalization, and regional tensions can precede influence campaigns, hacktivism, espionage, or opportunistic disruption. Security teams should correlate narrative shifts with domain registrations, impersonation activity, phishing themes, malware distribution, and changes in targeting. The key measure is not keyword volume, it is whether a developing narrative aligns with operational indicators across identity, network, endpoint, and external intelligence telemetry.
Got it, Helix. Ursa, time for the vulnerability deep dive. What should teams be patching?
Patch Bouncy Castle for Java to version 1.85 or later. Versions before that release contain critical CMS processing and certificate name constraints validation flaws, tracked as CVE 20265969 and CVE 20268763. Upgrade affected Java libraries, review trust stores and regression test certificate workflows, update Angular server-side rendering packages for CVE 20266949 and CVE 20266845, sanitize fallback content, review transfer cache key generation and invalidate potentially affected caches. Treat Internet Exposed TP-Link TLWR940N version 6 routers as immediate compromise risks because CVE 20261295 allows unauthenticated remote code execution. Apply a vendor fix. Replace unsupported devices or isolate them and disable WAN administration. CTI Transmute requires upgrades and endpoint restrictions for CVE 20266978 and CVE 20266979. Block server-side request forgery against internal, loopback, link local, and metadata ranges, and impose rate and resource limits. Unisoc modem flaws CVE 2026215548 through CVE 2026215555 currently lack patches. Apply firmware updates when available and use network monitoring meanwhile. Upgrade Synology Assistant to 7.7-50095 or later, and inspect file permissions for unauthorized changes.
Sharp as always, Ursa. Let's close out. First, isolate and preserve evidence from the affected Uttarakhand servers before restoring services while rotating credentials and verifying clean backups. Second, prioritize internet facing devices and vulnerable libraries, then confirm remediation through exposure scans and targeted testing. Keep human review in the loop as artificial intelligence accelerates both attack and defense. This is Argus IQ signing off.